I'm going to be installing these energy suspension polyurethane motor mount bushings into my 2005 Toyota Corolla XRS. Now, even though I'm holding 4 bushings here, these are only for the front and the rear, not for the sides. And the point of this upgrade is to have the engine move around less in the engine bay. Less engine movement means more power put down to the ground. Now, to see if these bushings actually work, what I'm going to do is start the engine up and see how much the engine moves around, then put the new bushing inserts in, and then start it up after to see if the engine moves around less or not. Now that's what it's like with these soft, probably worn bushings. Let's see if we can improve that. We are going to start off with the front motor mount. It's quite difficult to see from up top, but we can see much easier from the bottom. That right there is the mount that we're after. So to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to pull off these couple of plastics here, as they're just going to be getting in the way. Then after we pull these plastics, it's just a couple bolts down here and 1 bolt up here, and then the mount should come out. And there it is. So here we go, we've got the motor mount out. Now we'll install the new bushing inserts. No need to press this out or anything. All that happens is we just line up this with where the holes are, and it should just slip in, just like that. And then we flip it over to the other side, and it's the same story. We have an identical looking one. We just line these tabs up with the holes again, and it just presses right in. And there we have it. They just go in by hand. No need for an actual press or anything. You just push them together, and now this is done. We can put it back in the car. And there we go, that is the motor mount install complete with the new bushings on the front. This is by far the easiest one to do. The rear is going to give us much more of a challenge, but there we go, at least we got one done. The rear motor mount is going to be the most difficult of the two just because it's way back here. So 4 of the 5 bolts are really easy to get to. There's 2 of them right there, and then there's 2 in there, and then the 5th one goes through the middle up top there. So I'll take out these 4 nuts and bolts here, and then the 5th one I'll probably try to go through the side to get to that one. And then we just need to wiggle that motor mount out, and then we should be good. I think this whole stud here is broken. That is not great. I soaked this thing with so much penetrating fluid and still it broke. Ah, bummer. Well, progress update. Here is the bolt that was giving me troubles. I used my reciprocating saw and let loose a little bit. So good news, this is out, which means that all 4 bolts under the car that we need to take out are out. Bad news, I need to go to Home Depot and buy another nut and bolt, but oh well, could be worse. Now we need to take out the 5th bolt that goes through the mount. Best way to access it looks to be taking the wheel off and getting the bolt from this wheel well. So let's pull this wheel off and get that bolt out. So the bolt that we're after is right there. Now you can see why I said going through the sidewall here would be the easiest way to do this. And there it is, at the last bolt. And now the mount can come out. What, 15 minutes trying to get this thing out? I need to do something to make it easier going back in. I probably need to take the exhaust out. Well, it's out. Only took forever. Now that the mount is out here, we can put the inserts in. So these inserts are 2 different thicknesses. So the thick one here goes on this side, and the thin one here goes on this side that has this little rubber cover. We just pull that off, line up the holes like that to here, and it should slip right in. And just like that, there we go. And I'm thinking for this rubber cover, we can just bin it. Off you go. And then like on the other side, line these up with the holes, and in they go. This is one of those times where I wish I could weld, because it would be so much easier if I could get rid of these threads here and replace them with welded on nuts just like that, and then use bolts underneath, and it would make this thing so much easier to remove and install. I think that would be a way better design. And then there's supposed to be another thread here, that's the one that broke, so this is just a hole now. So when this goes back in the car, once it's in place, I'll just take this bolt and slip it through like that, bolt it in. And actually, the more that I think about this, you know what I want to do? There we go. And we're just going to use bolts instead. We've got 1 and we've got 2. Since I've got 2, I might as well use them. This is going to be so much better than stock, because when I go to install this, I'm not going to have this stupid thread in my way. I can just line it up and then put the bolt right through, put a wrench on the end of this, and then bolt it in. And there we have it. My genius is actually staggering. I won't do the same for this one though, unfortunately. This would be quite challenging to reach over and push a bolt through. This would be better. Anyway, let's spend the next 45 minutes of my life trying to wiggle this back in. And the rear mount is installed. As you can see, it is fully in there. And you can kind of see it from this angle as well. All 4 bolts are in here as well. We've got these old 2, and there's the new ones. So as you can see, the new bolts work just as well as the old ones, but since these threads are removable, it's much easier to take out this mount. Also, word of advice, just take the exhaust off. It is so much easier to work with this mount if you pull the exhaust off. I was being lazy when I took it out, and I realized that being lazy and not taking the exhaust out, it actually made the job more difficult. So I'm pretty sure taking the exhaust out is how you're supposed to do this. But anyway, it's done. And now this car has polyurethane motor mounts. Well, motor mount inserts, but same thing. Alrighty, now just like in the beginning of the video, I'm going to start the car up and let's see if the engine shakes more or less the same when I start it up. Well, it felt like it had a little bit more vibration, so I can only assume that the engine doesn't move as much. Well, I just checked the footage and it looks like it's a little bit better. Turns out it was already pretty good stock. The motor mounts actually seemed pretty healthy considering this is a relatively old car and it has almost 170,000 miles. Considering all of that, the old motor mounts looked pretty good. But these polyurethane bushings seem to be a nice way of updating these old motor mounts and making them stiffer than stock, and they'll be able to last longer now. So we've reached the end of this install. Thank you everyone very much for your time today. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment below your thoughts, and if you're new to the channel, a subscription would be so greatly appreciated. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.